The biggest challenge as I started my spiritual journey and my self-growth journey years ago, a couple of years back, about 2 years. The biggest challenge, I think, especially coming from a person who used to be very ego-centered, had the need to be right, being an impatient person, action-oriented. I think the biggest challenge, even more for me, maybe for a lot of other people, is patience. There you go. It's it. I think, and I'm not talking a level of patience like being patient for somebody to share with you something that has been difficult. Like, I never had this issue. Like, the person needs their time to speak with you, to share the way they need to speak. And I've learned how to listen actively, and the beauty of listening and being and sitting in those silence moments, right? So they can really take the time to develop. I'm not talking the type of patience where you have to wait in line and the line just doesn't move, right? You have to go check out your items from a store. I'm not talking the type of patience where you have to wait in a car and then you're in full traffic, right? Because in the same time nowadays, people, what, they listen to podcasts, they listen to YouTubes, they call back people. You can busy yourself in those moments, right? I'm not talking about patience when it comes to success and waiting for what you're working on to really bring their fruits, right? I'm talking about endurant patience when you've been putting up seeds and when you've been planting seeds in other people's, especially the people that you love and you care for, planting seeds in their mind, showcasing them where you've been, and then deep down you just want to have people that you love and care with to be in the journey with you, because we want this companionship, this feeling of belongingness with us. So this type of patience is the most challenging one, because A, you don't know when the change is gonna come for you and for them. B, the seeds that you're putting on, as long as they don't want to learn or they don't want to better themselves, or they don't want to, get out of their painful patterns, you don't know when that's gonna bring fruits, right? Is it gonna last? Is it gonna be in 6 months, 3 months, next week, a year, 5 years? You don't know. So it's this uncertainty of all the work you've been doing towards yourself, all the work you've been doing, not the work, but all the hope and expectations you've been putting on the people you love around you, that is the most challenging. Is this patience that no matter what you do for yourself, no matter how much, knowledge and awareness you're rising for you, and then you're working on your frequencies and you're working on your energy, every day you do this night routine or this morning routine, you listen to podcasts that helps you rise your awareness, you meditate day in day out, you listen to those things are beautiful, because you get, I don't know for you guys, but depending of if you really listen to your heart and your intuition, that could be for another video, you really can see the fruits and the effects of your change and your efforts, not effort but beautiful transcendence, quite fast and quickly and effortless and fun and discovery. It's an adventure to transcend, it's an adventure to become into your higher self. It's fun. Maybe that's just me, but it's just very fun, because when we say once you go enlightened, you cannot go back, right? So it's just a beautiful journey, and then the journey itself has different phases, and the journey itself comes to a place where you're living so much contrast with the people that are unconscious, that you start feeling frustration and all those things, right? So the hardships here is that you come into a place where you are ready to share that to people you want, or you wish for them to experience what you experience, right? Because it's so blissful and so beautiful. And so when you try to make them feel this way by putting up the seats, by just saying, instead of, telling them what to do and everything, you're trying to share from your point of view. And that's the ego mind, right? They want to think that it's their ideas. So you have to like inceptionize. You have to use inception to like make them believe it's their ideas when technically you're the one who approached them with this idea, this possibility they could try, or the beauty of the benefits of transcending and growing more and more. So that's the biggest challenge, is the endurance patience, knowing that no matter what you put out there, when you do prayers, when you pray for others, when you do segment intention, when you have an intention for others, when you really release expectations and give that back to them and give them love, just unconditional love, and do everything with love, and not know when. And obviously, if you expect something in return when you give something with love, and when you pray for them, or when you give them a good action, or you offer them a service and you expect something in return, obviously that's not where we want to go, right? That you want honest to God love and divine love and compassion, and you want to raise that towards, and you want to deepen that feelings. But when I say you don't know when the return's going to come, is more in the sense that you you just you just wish for them. It has nothing to do with you, because I'm benefiting of my own growth, right? But it's just to wait and see when they change, when something's gonna break in their side, when they're gonna seek healing, when they're gonna want to do something in their life, when they're gonna say, hey, you know what, Missy, it's enough. I'm done. I'm done living the pain I'm living. I'm done living the same patterns, and see them rise and see them once seeking change, to switch this little light switch and see them want to do efforts or different actions towards their own change. That is the beautiful, that is so rewarding. It's so beautiful to see them go to this point, but you just don't know when, right? And then you like wonder, like, hey, aren't you like, don't you want to go where you feel so happy and blissful and at peace and elevating all the time, where when you witness that to somebody that's so close to you, let's say I'm the partner, the child, the sister, whatever, don't you want to? And then for another discussion, obviously there's the limiting beliefs, there's discomfort into their own pain, and we just don't know where to get to. And this is where coaches, accompaniment mentors just like me come into play, where we can just guide them. I don't like to say coach, but just more of a guide, because at the end of the day, it belongs to each of us to grow. It's our own responsibility. I cannot, and this is something I've learned, I cannot push down your throat your growth and what you should do, because it won't work this way. You have to be willing to do it by yourself, and you have to be willing to reach out for help, reach out for actions, reach out for trying new stuff, right? So coming back to the fact that, yeah, so having a lot of people I've been talking with, and coaches, and discussion about how can we lead change, how can we inspire other people, how can we do that? It's just by being ourselves, minding our own business, working on ourselves, reaping the benefits for us, and let go of expectations and whatsoever happened to them, and just speak from your own experience and what the benefits you're living heartfully, lovingly, with no expectations, right? Because the moments you leave and you mind your own business and you just share what happens for you, and then they notice it, like even if we don't see the results right away, they do notice it. They notice our change, they notice our, when we say we're vibing, they notice our vibrations or vibe going higher. They notice the love and spirit and calmness and peace that's coming out of us, that emanates of us. It's not, you cannot avoid that. You cannot ignore it. Even the most unconscious person is going to be affected by our love and by our higher frequencies and our peacefulness, right? But then to push it to a point where they're going to be willing to go forth and to, in their choice, to turn to move and have a different action, that's another question. This is where the patience is required. This is where, no matter how long you keep working on yourself, you keep, unconsciously, be a light for them, unconsciously be an inspiration for them. You cannot hold expectations when you share truthfully what you're living. You cannot be impatient in their own accord, in their own journey, because everybody has their own journey, everybody has their own pace to live with. And obviously, the more you share, the more you are light, and the more they're closer to you, the more they're going to be affected, but in different rhythm, in different moments in their life. And this is the challenge here, guys. We have to let go, and we have to be patient. And during patience, we have to endure in our patience, remind ourselves to be patient, to not break apart and say, hey, enough. Did I not show you? Did I not see how much benefits you can reap from growing? Don't you see how it's good? Why don't you want to freaking move your butt, right? But we have to keep being patient, because it's gonna come. The change is gonna come. The little seeds we've been planting is gonna grow, and when it's gonna grow, man, it's gonna be flourishing. It's gonna be so beautiful. It's gonna be a garden, man. And telling you this video is just reminding me of a known personal example of mine, a very close person of me. I'm not going to disclose her name, but she's been part of my life when I've been growing up, and she's one of the reasons, the person that we kept having generational trauma and become who I used to be. And she's been living with a lot of anxiety and stress and had a hard time sleeping. And she's extremely in her ego. She does have a lot of identity attached to her ego. And for some reason, she just had a hard time sleeping. And I kept telling her back then, hey, why don't you listen to podcasts? And I was presenting her podcast, different things that was just 20 minutes long, 5 minutes long, just to help her see things differently, to help her see that the perspective that you have with the problem is your identity attached to it. And then, you have to release, give that back to God, give that back to the universe. Right? It doesn't belong to you. You cannot do nothing about it. So why pound your head on it, and why be miserable about it? And she was being a lot of stress, and she's the person who has a lot of expectations and likes to have her plan according to what she planned. She wants things to be the same way. She wants everybody, there's a control issue coming here, and then that's where I used to also have control issues. So all of that, I was seeing it. That was at the beginning of my journey. And I was like, here are the tools. Here, everything is there for you. Why don't you reach it and take it? Like, I'm literally giving it on you on a golden plate. Why don't you take it? And to make the story short, then we went on a trip. She really lived in the worst of anxiety and crisis and stress and everything. And I was such in a peaceful place in my life at this point that she was so much far off that it just energized me to stay in my place, in my alignment, and stay at peace, right? So she witnessed that. That's when our relationship really evolved, and then she got to see what of a woman I became. And I'm not the little young child that I used to be, an innocent child, and then she's seen the change in me, she's seen the growth in me, right? And I don't know, it's their own pattern, it's their own journey, so you never know when the click comes. But after that, she started to, exercise more frequently. She started to paint, because back then too, I gave her a gift of a painting course, online, so she can start again to paint, because it makes her feel so good. And I know that, she's a creative person, and we need to channel this creativity. So I gave her that, many tools. And that's what I'm saying, guys. You have to be patient. You have to be flipping patient and let that go. You give that back to them because you love them, and then it's on their own accord. So then I gave her all the tools, and then just yesterday or the day before, we discussed, and I felt her energy being so uplifting and peaceful and nice. She was in a good mood. I felt like something changed. And she's been telling me all these beautiful videos she's been listening to. Now she listens to a video, a meditation video, every night before going to sleep. And then unconsciously on your subconscious, you listen to those, calming words. You listen to the different ways to see things, how to let go. And obviously those accumulated videos that you keep listening, that's been what, 6 months now she's been doing that for 4 or 5 months, up to 6 months. It has an effect. It's happening, guys. It does have an effect on her positively. It is beautiful. And yesterday, for the first time, I've really seen the growth that she's experiencing, because she takes the time to go find videos that works for her. She takes time to listen to it before going to sleep. She's more at peace. I'm not saying she's where she could be even more, but she is choosing, she is acting out, she's taking the action to reach out and take the videos that work for her. And she was sharing with me beautiful videos. And yesterday she was telling me, oh yeah, it's all about perception, it's all about the mindset, and sometimes we cannot do nothing about it, we have to let it go. It's so beautiful, it's important, and I have to give it back to God. She was like telling me stuff, and that's my ego was like, hey girl, I kind of knew all of that for a long time, but now you're telling me. But obviously I try to be compassionate here and let her speak from her own accord. And she was sharing, and she was happy to be sharing it with somebody that she cares for, and I could understand it. And I was just like, that's amazing, Mom. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I feel so enriched, and it's so rewarding to see the people you love and care for, that it finally gets a switch. And now it's done, it's good, because now that she experienced the power of being more peaceful, and the power of letting go, and the power of not living this pain of anxiety, she's just gonna want more. She's gonna go further down this path. She's not gonna go back to this painful road, you know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying, all this little help that you've been giving, all this little seeds that you've been planting, it will happen, the change. It will happen, the breakthrough. It will happen, the switch in those people who's going to seek more and more tools to grow, right? It's just a question of being patient. So I hope that helps you. I hope that reminds you to keep hanging there, guys. Keep minding your own growth. Keep minding your own growth. I love it. And hanging there, and be patient. Be blissfully, divinely patient, because God is patient. The universe is patient with us. And this is part of being wise, and part of our wisdom as we grow higher and higher.